Hello and welcome to my video where I will define the atheist bubble of delusion. This is a sort of a response to God is imaginary videos. Here I will define why atheists, and especially atheists like God is imaginary videos, has an own bubble of delusion. So to start off with, let's look at what delusion means. Skip to definition 3. A false. Skip to definition 3. A false. A fixed false belief that is resistance to reason or confrontation with actual fact. So when God is imaginary calls Christians are delusional, he assumes that Christians' theory is false fact. A funny thing is that he actually never proven physically, logically, for it to be false. In order to prove something false, you have to have a true statement and an example statement. If the example statement falsifies or contradicts with the true statement, then the example statement is false. He is saying stuff like, if you're an intelligent person, of course you wouldn't believe it, or it's rational thinking. This guy hasn't really proven his points other than a skepticism, which doesn't have any value other than logic. To say a theory is false anyways without reasoning, real reasoning, makes himself delusional.
If you are a Christian, you are about to begin a fascinating journey.
Warning, warning.
Delusion ahead. Delusion ahead.
This guy haven't proven No evidence doesn't necessarily mean didn't happen, and magic doesn't equal fairy tale. You simply cannot conclude that as absolute truth. Being skeptical is not being smart and logical, it's simply rejecting statements, mostly religious, which is retarded for reasonings like these. No evidence doesn't necessarily mean it's not right or doesn't exist. There you go, I said it. But why? There was no evidence that Mr. Iceman here existed, but he did. There was just not enough information to conclude that at that time. If you want to stay out of all delusion bubbles, don't make any statement unless logic agrees with you. Always say logic, the whole logic, and nothing but logic. That is, if you don't want to risk end up in these delusion bubbles. Oh, and let's not forget the atheists. But why are they in these bubbles too? Well, for one, you can't prove that the universe has any true statements. Why? If you would say that gravity would be a true statement, if I would say that if I would drop a tennis ball from 100 years of now, how can you prove to me that universe will follow that law? I know it seems like a silly question, but there is no way to prove it, so there's no way to say that it's a true statement that the universe follows. Second, there is no true logic where there cannot be a supernatural God enemy cannot exist. If there is, please correct me. So when God is imaginary and other atheists making their statements as God is imaginaries, like his statements without any logic, and you know what logic is by this time behind it, they are making statements just as the Mormons, Muslims, and the Christians. So you could say that if he calls them deluded and he's making just statements as they are, he should be deluded too. However, I truly encourage you to go to my other video, Logic Why God Exists. That video explains why logically there cannot be an infinitive timeline backwards and forwards. So if you want to prove to yourself that a supernatural event had to happen, then please do so. Go there and watch it.